Hey everybody, welcome to our event today. I am Charles Nordine. I'm one of the senior partners here at Collective Intelligence, and I'm about to introduce Chuck Russell, who is one of the other partners here at Collective Intelligence, our founder. And we're excited to talk to you today about starting your AI transformation using some of the Microsoft tools, like their AI Cloud, like Copilot. And I am going to turn it over to Chuck, and he's going to get us started.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. And everybody, I hope you can see my screen. As Charles said, I'm Chuck Russell, Senior Partner at Collective Intelligence and a founder. There we go. So we are CI, Collective Intelligence, founded 25 years ago on the principle that we could help our client base embrace new technologies. And we've been doing that since 1998. And we've seen some seminal changes in the IT industry since then. We were there for the beginning of the internet. We were there for the onset of mobility and cloud computing. And now we're here again, embracing AI and strong data analytics. So really quick overview, quick commercial here. Our solutions are, as I mentioned, AI and advanced analytics, Microsoft Azure AI, Microsoft Azure Fabric, and we are a Databricks data intelligence platform expert and partner. We focus on process optimization with Microsoft 365 Cloud, and we are a Power Platform partner. We focus on infrastructure optimization via the Azure Cloud. We provide training, notably Fabric training, so Power BI and Fabric. And we provide strategic IT staffing. So if you need an expert in a particular technical category that we excel in, we can provide resources to help support your projects. We take an agile approach to business process transformation. We are a certified safe agile partner, and we take that to every project that we deliver. Now the question is, why CI? Well, I mentioned 25 years, but our vertical expertise is pretty profound. From healthcare to retail, we've been working over the last 25 years with well-known companies in each of these vertical markets. Our Fed, state, and local government practice was there from the beginning, focusing on DoD government work, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth of Virginia, the state of Maryland, and our local government work in the local counties within Pennsylvania. We have those two strategic partnerships I mentioned, which is the Microsoft AI Cloud partner. So we're there on the ground floor of Microsoft's AI rollout, and we're a Databricks solution partner, Databricks being sort of the data intelligence company, focuses on data lake, data warehouses, data analytics on the cloud, on a highly scalable cloud platform. We always focus on security first. So we are a security first company, and we have a strong business acumen, as I think exemplified by our vertical market expertise. In each of these vertical markets, we have a well established understanding of the business processes and the challenges that each of these markets have. So today we're going to talk about Microsoft AI, and that's specifically Copilot, right? Right from the very beginning, the partnership and our company believes in the transformative of the power of AI and data analytics. AI is one of these generational, transformational occurrences that we've seen only a few times in my career. I mean, I saw the onset of the PC and the way that the mainframe was de-emphasized in favor of mini computers and microcomputers. And then in the early 90s, the internet, then mobility, then data analytics, and now AI. All of those transformed the way we do business, but nothing quite like this trend. And so I'm going to ask you a question to start. What would you do with an extra 10 hours of free time per month? I know what I would do. Now I'm talking about work time, not fun time, not play time. What would you do if you were given an extra 10 hours at work per month? Well, AI is offering that possibility. It's shifting business today. I mean, every individual, every team, and every industry can utilize these tools to, let's say, reduce the cognitive overload, increase their productivity, increase the quality of work, increase the amount and capability of collaboration within their team. We'll talk more about this as we move through the morning. So the transformational opportunities exist with enriching employee experiences. That's collaboration within the team. So we can reinvent customer engagement with smart chatbots that we can deploy to our customers. We can reshape business processes. We'll talk a little bit about the workflows and the business process use cases that can be reshaped with AI. And we can bend the curve of innovation, bending it up and to the right? We can innovate more rapidly with the use of these tools. So in a recent survey from Microsoft across their customer base, they interviewed KPMG, saying that 41% increase in search and response quality for internal AI assistants. So KPMG is using copilots and AI to support their employees, support question and answering, maybe to request vacation time, request travel expenses, travel approvals, everything that to streamline business processes is AI enabled. At NHS, they're saving 24 hours saved by staff weekly with their 24/7 service for customer engagement, meaning they never turn off their customer support hotline. It's there 24/7, and they've reduced the amount of time their staff spends catering to those customer support needs by 24 hours. Symphony AI produced 75% faster investigations into financial crime and risk. Symphony AI is a financial services company that focuses on BSA, which is the Bank Security Act, and anti-money laundering. General Motors has bent the curve of innovation by structuring and formatting done by Copilot. This is everything from internal communications to external marketing and sales. Touches all aspects of these companies' businesses. Another finding in the Microsoft survey was that for every $1 invested in an AI, the return was $3.50. And I'll talk a little bit about the return on investment as we move through the day. 14-month return, average time it takes for an organization to realize the return. So it's not only do you realize that 3.5 to 1 ratio, but it can be done in 14 months. Impressive. Let me see if I can prove that to you this morning. So one of the things that's important to understand here, especially with Microsoft and especially with concerns related to security, is that your data is your data. Microsoft does not use it to train any of the foundation models that they use with their AI tools, and your data is protected by the most comprehensive enterprise compliance and security controls, as emphasized by the bulletproof nature of the Azure cloud. So what areas do we touch within Copilot, within the Microsoft Azure stack? The AI stack. Well, we unlock productivity with Copilot, and that's what we're going to focus on today. And we can help build your AI capability with the OpenAI platform, and we co-innovate and trust and safeguard your business using the infrastructure, focus on infrastructure, digital apps and innovations, data and AI combined, a modern work environment, a number of business applications with a focus always on security. One thing that's, I think, important to remember is that the Microsoft AI stack has infiltrated just about every aspect of their application portfolio. From Microsoft Dynamics, we can invoke copilots to help us understand our data, understand our customer space, understand our business. But we can also do that on the Microsoft Office stack. So in that survey, 75% of Copilot users said they were more productive. That's a pretty good ratio. 68% said Copilot helped jumpstart the creative process. And I don't know if it's just me, but the blank page syndrome is a problem. It's always been a problem. You stare at a blank PowerPoint presentation and you say, where do I begin? Do I start with an outline? Do I start with a Word document? You know, what's the creative process? And one of the advantages of Copilot is it can jumpstart that creative process. 67% said Copilot saved them time so they could focus on more important work. That 10 hours per month of free time, reduction of cognitive overload, then can produce some real opportunities and returns for reinvestment of the time saved. So let's talk about Microsoft Copilot. I'm going to shut my camera down and let's get into this presentation. One thing to remember too, as I go through the presentation today, we can make this interactive. Feel free to pop in some questions in our chat. Charles will manage that, and if he sees any kind of questions that make sense, we can either wait till the end to answer them or answer them in real time.
I'll throw them out there.
Feel free to walk about the captain. The pilot has not put the fasten seatbelt sign on. Let's talk Copilot. So they're everywhere, as I mentioned. Microsoft's provided Copilots for life, for productivity, for data analytics, for business applications. There's actually a Copilot that supports Microsoft security implementation, administrative security implementation. And there are Copilots for each of the departments in your organization. These are role-specific Copilots, perhaps custom Copilots you build that integrate into your business process. But let's talk about the productivity Copilots today. So where are they? Well, there's a free version. It's called Copilot. It's part of Bing, and it's for personal use. Contains basic features. It provides commercial data protection in the sense that none of the data that you enter into the Copilot conversations or in your use of Copilot is used to train models. So it's private to you, and it's grounded in the web, meaning it uses the web and its training data to produce answers. The free version includes image creation, almost like ChatGPT and DaVinci. I'm sorry, and
Midjourney.
What's there? Hey, that's it. Midjourney or tools like that. And then it also provides document and web page summarization, so you can add and upload documents, and it supports plugins or Copilot GPTs that you can create or third parties can create. So Copilot free is pretty much like ChatGPT. So if you're familiar with ChatGPT or ChatGPT Pro, that is Copilot. In fact, it uses the same models. The latest version for ChatGPT Pro is the GPT-4o, O for omnipresent or omnidirectional, but it also provides its omnimodal. It provides multimodal capability. It can absorb images. It can deliver graphics and illustrations. It can talk to you and actually consume video as well as speech. Then there's Copilot Pro. Now that's again free for those who want better performance and enhanced creativity capabilities, right? So Copilot is like ChatGPT free, and Copilot Pro is like ChatGPT Pro. We'll talk a little bit about license costs in a couple seconds here, but it gives you Copilot Pro gives you a little bit higher performance. The usability is there, but you also get priority access to the new models during peak times and increased performance. You can build your own GPTs just like you can in ChatGPT Pro. And you can use Copilot in your personal productivity apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. But it's still grounded in the web. What that basically means is it only knows about the data that it was trained on. It doesn't access any of your personal information or any of the documents you've created unless you decide to give it to Copilot Pro. And then there's Copilot 365, which is Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365. Excuse me. This combines the power of large language models with your organizational data, which basically means that all of the productivity tools you use in Microsoft 365, that Copilot is aware of the content you've created, and Copilot is integrated within each of them. So while Copilot and Copilot Pro are grounded in the web, Copilot 365 is grounded in the Microsoft Graph. So just a quick refresher. The Microsoft Graph is this beast here. It's the interconnectivity of all of the content you have created or your organization has created over time. From the people and teams and groups that you've created in the organization, to the files these users have created, to conversational chats that have occurred within teams or within the other environments, reports you've created, the calendar and your emails, meetings that have been created. In fact, we're recording one right now, and that'll be available to our graph, and our transcript can summarize this meeting. So Copilot 365 is grounded in the graph, which basically means it has intimate access to all of your organizational or enterprise data. Keeping in mind, Copilot only has access to those portions of the graph that you're privy to, right? So only the files that you have access to, only the chats that you were participating in, only the meetings you have access to or participated in are available to your Microsoft Copilot, your 365 Copilot, that is. So let's talk about the pricing here, just because it's important to understand what the investment is. As I mentioned, Copilot's free. It includes all those features. Copilot Pro has all of the basic features of free, except it's also provided, it's embedded in the Microsoft 365 apps. It's a little bit speedier, and you're paying $20 per month. Copilot for Microsoft 365 includes everything in Copilot Plus, but it adds Copilot in Word, Excel, Microsoft Teams. It has enterprise-grade data protection. It's grounded in the graph, as I mentioned, and we can customize and extend these Copilots through Microsoft Copilot Studio. Keep in mind that in order to get Copilot for 365, you have to have a 365 Business Standard or a Microsoft 365 Business Premium license. So this is a $30 uplift over those standard and premium licenses. For $360 a year, do you think you get your money returned? We'll see. So one of the things that's important to realize, and I think if you've experienced ChatGPT or Claude or another enterprise large language model that's available on the web, we interact with these things through prompts. Sometimes they're single shot prompts. Sometimes, as in the second one, we're going to give it a little bit of extra information. We're going to ask it to think step by step as it goes through the planning process. I could probably spend an hour talking about prompting or prompt engineering strategies. I won't today, but I'll demonstrate some of them throughout the morning. So we've sort of transferred the we flipped the script, so to speak, where the computer understands us as much as we understand the computer. So when we're communicating with Copilot, we do it in natural language, and pretty powerful stuff. So the kinds of things we can ask Copilot to do, we can ask it in Teams to recap a meeting. We can, in Outlook, ask it to summarize an entire email thread or draft an email. In Word, we can ask it to summarize a document or tell us about a topic that's contained in the document. Or we can ask in general, talk to us about a project that we've been chatting about in Teams. We can have it help us come up with some ideas for creative pursuits. Create an agenda for a meeting, identify product names, create social media posts, all the things that oftentimes we struggle with or spend hours on to get right. In Microsoft Word, it can help us write a document. In Microsoft Teams, it could say, we could prompt it to ask for, what did Charles Nordin say in the meeting during our session this morning? We can revise content. So one of the things that I think is true of all creative pursuits is we draft and we revise and we edit and edit and edit. In fact, most of writing is editing. And so having Copilot in our back pocket to help us revise the content that we created is a more powerful tool in the shed. It'll also do language translations. Say again?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we do have a question in the chat. and I can
Yeah,
read it
go
to you,
ahead.
which
Read
is
it to me.
for the subscription. Can only some individuals in the org have those? It would be limited
That's
to
correct.
by those that wouldn't have the license?
That is correct. That's a good question. So each individual is licensed, just as each individual is licensed to Office 365. If you have the license, then you have the ability to operate Copilot within the tools. And also, I'll be demonstrating that shortly, which basically means is when you're in Teams, one of your colleagues could have Copilot and be summarizing the meeting as it goes along in Teams while you cannot. Is that right? Does that answer it?
I think so, yeah. So there you can, given that cost 360 users a year, you can pick and choose who gets that. You don't have to buy it for everyone.
It's $30 per month, pay as you go, or you can pay up front, and you can basically provision those licenses to the individuals that makes sense. Now, if you start thinking about how would we roll out Copilot in the organization, we would probably release it to a small group of users, right? We might buy 20 licenses and provision that to a team of 20.
And
over time,
indeed, that's how
keep
Collective
adding.
Intelligence did it too.
Exactly. So let's dive into some presentations here. I'm sorry, some demos of the first party Copilot apps. And I'm going to switch screens here. Move into a different desktop. And here I am in Outlook. I'm in Outlook. Now, if you're like me, you get a lot of emails that are important, either from customers or teams, your team. And so I've created a favorite list of, certain customers and certain teams, but I also have a little tech folder. And my tech folder is full of all of the newsletters and partners that I've subscribed to, and I get a lot of emails, primarily on AI these days. And one thing that I'm often, forced to do is to triage my email. What do I spend time reading? There's only so many hours in a day, right? So Llama Index is one of my favorite open source tools used for AI, for retrieval augmented generation tasks, and business process large language model pipelines. And I get their weekly newsletter. But what I can do is, if you look over here, I can summarize this with Copilot. And it's going to scan this email. And by the way, if this was an email thread, it would scan the entire email thread. And you can see it's working through the email, summarizing the email. So now, instead of having to trudge through maybe a 3 or 4 page email, I can see with a summary if there's something I want to focus on. And I can skip down to that part of the email. Now, also this disclaimer is also provided, which I don't know why they do this, but AI generated content may be incorrect. So you've gone through the trouble to do this, but AI generated content may be incorrect. The thing that I found is that it's incredibly accurate. I can also use Outlook to help compose an email. So let's see. I click here, draft an email with Copilot. Now here's where we enter the prompts, right? All right, here's one. Let me cut and paste this in. So I'm going to draft an email to the Collective Intelligence team, thanking them for their hard work during our successful first quarter of 2024. I'm giving a couple of instructions. Use a motivational tone and keep it casual.
This is where the inaccuracy comes in. We would never expect
Well,
this from Cook.
it might. You want to keep the human in the loop, right? You want to keep the human in the loop, and you want to. But again, much of writing is editing, and I'll tell you truthfully, moving off the blank page, providing a template, saves me a lot of time. And this isn't a bad email at all. I want to take a moment to congratulate all of you on a fantastic first quarter. You've been working hard. We're proud. You've shown that you're not only experts in your field, but also leaders, visionaries, and problem solvers. A little hyperbolic, but I like it. I want to thank you for your dedication and passion. Please take some time to celebrate the achievements and fruits of your labor. That ain't bad. I make a few changes. I might put it in my tone. I might say, hey, regenerate. Give me another option. A little shorter, a little sweeter. That's kind of my style. A little bit more laid back, less hyperbole. You can also craft an email response very similarly, so that an angry customer email may be responded to in a certain way, and you can prompt the AI to respond to it in a very sensitive, empathetic way, and it could help us maybe stay in closer contact with our customers and provide maybe that human touch with a little AI support.
I like that it saves the different versions of the drafts. You can go back to the one that you like better potentially.
You can, and it's asking, do I want to change something? I could say, make it shorter, because who has time to read Chuck's emails, right? I must have pressed the wrong button. Darn. I can go back to the Copilot. It's going to analyze my email now. You'll see this Copilot icon in all of the menu bars for the productivity tools. Now, notice how it's taking a little bit extra time here, because what it's doing is it's not only reading the email, pushing it through the AI, but it's also going through the Office graph to see if there's anything relevant that it might add or might be able to contribute to analysis of the email. Oh, look at that. Show more humility. Here it is analyzing it. This is sort of the sentiment analysis. Add a salutation. Simplify and summarize. This email is clear about the main purpose, but it also can be more concise and effective. It's already saying I'm using too many words. Well, I don't like you, coach. Goodbye. So you can see that we can invoke Copilot at all of the steps in our email process. All right. What about just plain old Copilot for 365, right? This is a screen that we get from Bing or from within Microsoft Teams, which is basically Copilot chat, very much like ChatGPT or Claude. What if I asked it for something that's a little different? Maybe a creative request. So you're a well-known technology researcher. I'm grounding the AI in its role. Research collective intelligence, identify their leadership team, the solutions they provide, the markets they serve, and the years in business. Write a short three paragraph and type. Marketing piece in a professional tone using the style of Don Draper of Mad Men fame. So ground it, tell it what you want, provide the style and tone request, and here it comes. Now it's going to take a couple seconds to do this. And that's a prompting style that I think most people should follow. The AI has been trained on a lot of different content. So let's reduce the amount of content it can search through by telling it who it is, and then telling it what exactly you want it to do, and then provide it with a little bit of background as to the tone or style that you'd like it to be written in. Not bad. Notice how it left Richard out, Charles, because we're not in this meeting. He's not here yet. Or is he?
He's lurking.
He's lurking. I like that. I like that. So here we go. We are been a beacon of innovation next. I should have just asked Copilot to write our opening slides. But notice how it also provides footnotes here. These are documents that it used in our Microsoft Graph to surface the information required to generate this response. Now I can follow up this conversation with more questions, or Nordine, I'm not going to embarrass you, so I'm not going to say, tell me more, Charles Nordine. What other industries do they serve? Is a follow-up. It's going to go search through the graph again.
I'll tell you one thing. I haven't seen you do this part of the demo before, and like that IT therapist thing, I use that talking point a lot with individuals, but I don't think I put it in any of our. I guess I've written it down someplace, but I don't think I put it in anything like on the web or anything. So
believe
it's
it or not,
interesting.
that was in
Found
one
that.
of our. That was actually in one of our presentations. I think for the Power Platform presentation, it dug it out of an old PPTX, and
I like that it found that. Actually, that's interesting.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, there's the advantage of being able to search through the Office graph for free, without having to ground it in a specific document, or for having to create a folder full of documents to use to ground it. There we go. Now, what about the ability to be more creative? Let's start a new tab. Now we're telling the AI that it's a seasoned AI consultant and project manager. Create an enterprise adoption project plan for the Microsoft AI stack, especially Copilot within my organization. Give me 10 tasks, deliverables, and information. Now we're going to ask to think through this step by step, right? Each step. Provide an executive summary and then produce a 1-paragraph definition for each task and deliverable. I'll probably stop generating this halfway through because I think you get the idea. This is the watching paint try part of the demo. But you can see that there's the project plan. I'm going to stop it right here. Initial assessment, the definition, the deliverable, and any key assumptions, the organization's infrastructure and supporting tools. Would I ship this, Scott, scot-free without any kind of edits? Probably not. But again, what does this do? It's given me a foundation to refine, to edit, to maybe incorporate into a project plan, incorporate into a presentation. It's maybe making sure I don't forget about the key aspects of project planning. All right, so that's ChatGPT for Microsoft. One most important point to make, I think if you've been paying attention to the AI space, OpenAI released their latest model, GPT-4o, I think 2 weeks ago, with a pretty good set of demos that showed the multimodal capability of the large language model. That means it can accept vision, text, speech, video, and converse. Well, GPT-4o is part of the Copilot stack. In fact, I've deployed that into our tenant just a couple of days ago. I'm very impressed with its performance. All right, so we've looked at Copilot Chat. We've looked at a way it can help us craft emails. Let's take a look at Microsoft Word. Now, we created a document, a white paper, about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, called a 10X Manifesto, which basically describes the barriers to productivity in modern organizations, how to overcome those barriers using the Microsoft stack, specifically Copilot. And if you're interested in getting your hands on that white paper, let us know. We'd be glad to distribute that. But here it is. I've got it on the screen. And I might ask Copilot something like, notice the Copilot icon over here. And by the way, I'm demonstrating this in the browser because it's a little bit easier. The same ribbon bars, the same capabilities are also available in your desktop apps. I can summarize the doc. And there it is, very rapidly summarizing the entire document with citations as to the points of the document that it used to form the summary. So let's say I've created this white paper. I wanted to create an email asking our customer base if they'd like to read it. I produce the summary in an email, or maybe use the summary in a social media post, connect the dots, and there we go. Also, the capability, let's say, to, in Word, create a new document. So I could easily ask it to create a document just like I asked it to create an email. For the sake of time, I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about PowerPoint. We can craft presentations from scratch using that same document, the 10X Manifesto. Create a presentation. There we go. Now this is going to definitely be watching paint dry. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this tab. Oh, pardon me for a second here. I'm going to open I'm wrong. I thought I had the 10X Manifesto already created in another. At any rate, let's move on. We'll come back to this presentation when it's done. Well, it's ticking away pretty clear. So what I've used is the white paper. It's about 15, 20 pages. I've created a summary of it in Word. And now I'm creating a slide deck to present that at, let's say, our next conference. It's about 70% through. We'll come back to it. What about Copilot and Microsoft Teams? That same Copilot interface is here. I can ask it, for instance, I tend to start my day like this. What meetings do I need to prepare for today?
While it's working, I could just tell you as an aside, believer that I have ADHD. I do really love setting up meetings for myself that have like all the materials ready, like what documents do I need, what other things, and I feel like these tools can provide that for me potentially more in real time than having to do more of that prep work.
Well, the good news
one of the
about
things I'm
this is,
excited
of
about
course,
that.
yeah, the good news is, of course, it jogs your memory, right? Well, I better prepare for this meeting, obviously. And I think we have another one this afternoon. There you go. Apparently you're organizing all the meetings, Charles.
That sounds right.
A couple things. Notice these citations here. Perfect. Let's go back now. I believe we have a 10X Manifesto presentation with a template that I can change. But there it is, all generated, all graphics generated by Copilot. I would guess that saved me a couple hours worth of work. Now I'm going to end up tweaking it and make it a little bit more in tune with our PowerPoint templates. But the words are on the page, and now we go down to editing instead of creating. So back to Teams. These are the kinds of things that I got to do today to prepare. But what about, I've been out for a week. catch me up on what's happening with our marketing team. Again, going through the graph, going through meetings, going through documents, going through the team's marketing channel to see what's new. Fascinating. Well, it's not only trudging through our documents, it's trudging through the emails that I'm privy to. And there it is. There's a summary of what I missed last week. And down at the bottom, I have the ability to click in through the assets it used, the spreadsheet, a PowerPoint presentation, and another customer planning spreadsheet. Pretty straightforward. Anybody use Microsoft Forms? One of the things that I found very useful at Microsoft Forms is it's very quick to create a, for lack of a better term, user interface to collect data. Let's create a new one here. Better log in. One thing that I have noticed using Copilot these past few months is that it's very sensitive to security, and you may be asked to log in a little bit extra. And I think that's Microsoft being super careful. But let's create a form, a survey form that collects feedback from this event. Ensure the survey can be filled out in less than 2 minutes. That's an important thing because otherwise you wouldn't. Add miscellaneous comments for attendees to help us with future webinars. Ensure the survey can be filled out in less than 2 minutes. I want to be absolutely sure of that. And also ask for miscellaneous comments. All right, let's generate. I already did that. And here's the form it created in about 2 minutes. That saved me about an hour's worth of work. You're all going to do that, I'm sure. Right there. Boom. Happy, happy, happy. Insert. I can insert and edit with Copilot. Pretty sweet. So that is a taste of our Microsoft Copilot and productivity apps. For the sake of time, I'm going to move to our rest of the presentation. Now let's think about what we saw, and let's put it in perspective. We looked at each of these productivity apps and how Copilot made them just a little bit more efficient, more productive. What about a day in the life of an HR manager? So this guy is managing his organization's human resources, and he starts the day in Copilot with Teams. He's interviewing a new candidate. At the end, he asks Teams, what are some good follow-up questions to learn more about this person's skill and experience after the interview? You perform the interview on Teams, you've recorded a transcript. Copilot can analyze that transcript and offer some advice. Later in the morning, he spins up Copilot with Teams and he summarizes a discussion thread of a meeting that was held, including some identifying key issues. Excuse me. I find that to be incredibly valuable. What were the key issues in the meeting? What were the tasks that were identified within this meeting? What are the follow-up issues to deal with in this meeting? In Word, Omar heads over and summarizes the employee handbook because he wants to produce that summary and deliver it to an executive, just highlighting the key points. Omar has missed a few calls and emails during the day while he was busy interviewing folks. So at 4 p.m., he goes into Copilot in Outlook, asks him to summarize the emails he missed. He heads over to PowerPoint, and he adds a slide about potential HR initiatives that have come up for a presentation he's about to give. And then, last but not least, and we'll talk a little bit about this, Copilot Studio for Microsoft 365. He heads over there to create a custom Copilot that reaches into his HR data set and summarizes information regarding employee data. That's an important one. We'll talk about that shortly. So here's an HR use case for identifying compensation. So if you got an HR manager barking up your tree and you're in IT, here's a use case to help them become more productive. We can conduct market research with Copilot. Remember, it's view of the world. Show me the top 10, show me the average salary for a particular resource category. We can draft an executive summary for talent planning. Turn some thoughts into a detailed planning document for discussion within the team or within the organization. Discussing models for retention and satisfaction using Copilot in Excel and Copilot in Teams. Update financial models and update the document to reflect those financial models. Using Copilot in Outlook, you can communicate to department managers about the plans associated with revisions and benefits and compensation. In Copilot Word, getting feedback, you can revise that. Let me go back. Go 4, incorporate those changes in HR, revise the policy document, and then communicate to department managers. So you can see how we've used the Copilot components to create a broader workflow. And that workflow, we'll talk a little bit about how we can automate that shortly.
Can I share real world?
What would you do with an extra 5 hours a week? What's that?
I'm sorry, Chuck. Can I share a real world example that we did too? So we use the meeting summary. Rich Dieter and I were discussing a customer. We use the meeting summary to access the key points. Dieter had the task of writing up part of the proposal, and then Rich and I we had a follow-up meeting with him to review it. So we went through it, and he did a nice job. But there was a couple things I feel like there's some things missing here in our solution, what we're proposing. And we went back easily to that the chat transcript, and it's oh yeah, these 2 points here are missing. I think it would communicate to the customer better what we were trying to accomplish and what how we can help them. It's very easy to add those back in, and we could even use the Copilot to expand them into full sentences. And
yeah,
it saved us a lot of time and helped our memory.
I think that's very true. And I think that's one of the hidden advantages of Copilot and Teams is that oftentimes in a long meeting, you forget some finer points that Copilot can easily pick up and remind you of, and that can be incorporated into maybe some of the follow-on tasks and or action items that come out of that meeting. So no question about it. It's all about productivity. It's not only about productivity, it's about accuracy, isn't it? And I think that's important. So another set of use cases, a day in the life of an IT admin, very similar to our HR guy. He's in and out of Copilot with Teams and Word as he goes about his activities, ultimately producing a little bit of research on laptop development or laptop acquisition. Another use case, document a solution, get customer information, brainstorm ideas, summarize these conversations, create an executive update, and revise support procedures. These are all done within the Microsoft Copilot, and Office M365 stack. Good stuff. One thing we didn't talk about with regard to Copilot, for the IT folks on the call today, it can generate code too. You can ask Copilot to generate Python code, Java code, .NET code, C# code. But that's a topic for another presentation, another day. I could probably spend 2 hours on that. So what about, I alluded to a couple of capabilities here within Copilot, such as build your own AI. So how do we customize a Microsoft Copilot? Customizing, let's say, an existing Copilot that Microsoft provides, build our own Copilots. Well, you partner with us and we can help you do that. And these Copilots can perform tasks such as customer service. They could be chat bots. They could be complete pipelines for moving ideas into production. It could be a marketing pipeline that takes a new product launch, identifies a social media strategy, pushes the social media posts out to the interwebs, drafts a number of presentations, even writes a movie script for a video identifying the product that will be launched. Well, all this can be done with the Copilot stack. So we've looked at the individual Copilots and the tools that they're in, but what about orchestrating those Copilots to perform these tasks in series without human interaction? And we can do that on the Microsoft Cloud with all the AI safety and security it provides, going against the graph structure that we talked about, your data, using foundation models that OpenAI and Microsoft provide in their AI infrastructure. And there are two tools that specifically allow us to customize and extend Microsoft Copilots, Microsoft AI in general, and that is Copilot Studio and Azure AI Studio. So the top use cases, you start thinking about customize a Microsoft Copilot. We can control the conversational topics that exist, that can take place. We can identify and support unique business processes. We can bring in our own data to Microsoft Copilot that's not inside the graph. It could be from a database. It could be from a third-party API. And we can manage these customizations inside an environment that allows us to deploy them. We can also then build our own Copilots to do, let's say, trend forecasting. What about writing a Copilot that reaches into HR data and answers questions related to turnover, compensation? We can use our Copilots to help us with design and development, as I mentioned. We can use our Copilots to reach into our data to provide a user interface, a natural language interface to detect, identify fraud and report on that. And we can use it to create new and transformative customer experiences with externally deployed customer service agents on the web. And so why would you partner with us? Well, we have the industry expertise I mentioned at the top of the show this morning. We can help you create ready-to-use connectors and plugins. We can provide finished apps and services. And one of the most important aspects to all of this is to help you stand up an AI center of excellence where your teams, your organization can share best practices and share tools that were created throughout the organization to make everybody just that much more productive.
Man, if I could add my 2 cents here too, and it's my vision that I think every major role is going to have a agent or a Copilot attached to it, something specific to what you're doing. If you're doing proposal writing or if you're head of marketing, Chuck showed some all those use cases. I just think that's the future, that we're going to be building these support agents to help people like move their different role along and smooth out the rough points. As Chuck said, save those 10 to 15 hours a month. We have one last point here. Not a customer of ours, but Gettysburg College, I happen to see their implementation of it. They're about 6 months in, and they had moved, they had success with the Office kind of integration that Chuck showed, and then they were moving into the agents part of it, and they were using it for HR, answering questions. How do I get, how do I apply for FMLA? How do I ask for parental leave? And they're also using it in the IT space for like log aggregation, listen for anomalies and things like that. So that, they're deploying it across their organization as an example. I'll throw it back to you, Chuck.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got about 5 minutes left of our hour here. But one of the things that we can do, again, is build custom copilots. And we can do that in a low-code environment using Copilot Studio and a number of tools that are provided with that. But we can also develop them in a pro-code environment. And that's using Azure OpenAI Studio and the Teams AI libraries. So if you start thinking about Microsoft Copilot Studio allows us to build somewhat basic apps that incorporate artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence pipelines, where Azure OpenAI Studio provides us with the ability to build enterprise-wide, sophisticated, multi-hop, multi-round pipelines for agent development, for deployment to specific use cases, both inside and outside the organization. So already within Microsoft Copilot Studio, we have the ability to use these connectors to reach into data sets throughout the enterprise, from our Oracle databases, Snowflake, Databricks, SQL databases, AWS storage, S3 storage, Salesforce.com, MongoDB Atlas, Slack and Teams. So a lot of these pre-built connectors already exist. And so if there's a product that you would like to incorporate within your Microsoft graph using Copilot, it's capable. So Azure AI Studio is a little bit more complex. It's very similar to the OpenAI agent and assistant framework, but it allows us to put large industrial strength, enterprise strength AI pipelines inside the Azure cloud using Azure Compute for AI acceleration, high-speed I/O, and network capabilities. One of the things that I'd like to leave you with as we sort of wind down the presentation this morning is the ability to incorporate data from all sources into more or less a Microsoft intelligent data platform. Analytics, AI, governing that through the use of AI, also within the Microsoft Fabric. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, Microsoft Fabric is a rebranding of the Microsoft Advanced Analytics Stack, highlighting Power BI, but also introducing data lake storage using Spark, and a number of other data technologies that are scalable and high performant. So let's talk a little bit about security here. We know the world is getting a little less safe. The number of password attacks per month are increasing on a scale we've never seen before. The threat actors and the threat surface are directly related. We have a threat surface that's expanded based upon our utilization of technology, but threat actors have increased throughout the world. And the number of business leaders concerned about data or IP loss due to improper use of AI is a serious number. So what does Microsoft allow us to do? Well, on the Microsoft Azure platform, we have large-scale data and threat intelligence, fully complete end-to-end bulletproof security, plus this industry-leading responsible secure AI that I've mentioned over and over again, plus Microsoft's given us the tools to secure AI. So in the admin center for Microsoft 365 Copilot, we have a number of knobs that we can dial, or dials that we can turn, and knobs that we can press. One is Copilot for Microsoft, the logs, right? So we can get feedback, we can send feedback to Microsoft based on your individual response, explaining why you didn't like or whether a feature was useful or not. We can manage Copilot uses. And Copilot being Edge, these are the sort of the external products that might reach outside the enterprise. We can manage data security and compliance. We can allow Copilot to access web content or not. And then the security, we can manage these settings. So if you start thinking about data security compliance, we can add sensitivity labels to the data. We can identify retention policies so that anything that Copilot produces, any content, any communications, any interaction with users or our colleagues is available for audit and e-discovery. Just like everything else on the Microsoft platform, Copilot is completely governable and completely auditable. There's an important piece of security that Microsoft provides these days. It's called commercial data protection, which basically means is that none of the content you create and none of the content that Copilot has access to will be used in training any of their large language models or any of their partners' training of these large language models. So think about it, OpenAI will not have access to this data either. You also have the ability to turn on and off with a Copilot, and when it's crafting its responses, use web content. You may say, I only want you to use the Microsoft Graph when you produce these responses. Don't go outside, don't look at the web. And there's reasons for that, because the more it looks outside the web, the more hallucinations might be created as a result of web content when it's mixed in with your enterprise graph content. So this is a very common checkbox that folks will click when rolling out Copilot for the first time, just to make sure that all Copilot information is focused on internally created content. We also have the ability to secure which users can use plugins at the plugin level, by the way, within Microsoft Office. So let's say I have a LinkedIn plugin for Microsoft Outlook, but I don't want Copilot to interact with that plugin whatsoever because, you know, it's a social media platform and who knows what might happen, or who knows how much data might leak in from LinkedIn into our e-discovery. So we can turn that off, or we can turn it on for certain users or groups. But it's very important to be able to provide that fine-grained level of security. And as I think we mentioned earlier, you do provision these licenses on a per-user basis. So you also have the ability to identify which users actually have access to Copilot. So the opportunity is ours here, guys, to lead an AI transformation in our enterprise. But one more thing. Last week at Microsoft Build Conference, they announced something pretty interesting. Not sure if you saw it in the press, but it's called the Copilot PC. Pretty amazing. So at Build, they announced on these rather robust laptop and iPad like the Surface Pad platform, Windows 11 Home, a 15-inch touchscreen, 22 hours of local video playback, all the ports you need, 64 gigabytes of RAM, terabyte of storage, and specific Snapdragon neural processing unit capability. So what does this mean? Well, basically it means the AI that we've just demonstrated today in the cloud is moving to the edge. It's moving onto your PC. So today you noticed how the lag time between entering a prompt and it going to the cloud and answering, you know, the Copilot answering the prompt and returning a result. Much of that is going to be moved to the edge in the future. And it's going to run at NPU speed or GPU speed and be available at your laptop. They also announced something very interesting, and it was called recall. Total recall, meaning that recall, when enabled on your PC, will snap a picture of your screen every so many seconds. Record all audio, record all your mouse clicks, record all the applications you use, how you use them, if available, and incorporate that, encrypt that on device so that the local small language model that will be released on your Copilot PC can have access to it and create a customized, more streamlined AI experience. So you thought Total Recall was a movie. Well, now it's coming to a PC near you. They're up for pre-order. The Surface laptop, which fully outfitted as shown here, is $2,500. Substantially less than substantially less than an Apple MacBook Pro with comparable outfit, fully AI enabled. All right, one last thing, and I'm going to try and go through this quickly because we're running a little bit over here. Let's talk about AI adoption. This can be a presentation in itself, and so I'm not going to really do it justice here today, but I wanted to leave this with you. When implementing Copilot, you got to get executive sponsorship, create an AI council that governs and manages the rollout, define high-value scenarios in the organization, like the use cases we talked about earlier, and deploy Copilot to users supporting those high-value scenarios, and make sure that the data is secure by defining a comprehensive governance and security strategy for the rollout. So we can help you build this, and this is basically a five-phase implementation strategy where we get ready and prepare, we onboard and engage those early adopters, we deliver impact by monitoring how it's used, by conducting as much feedback analysis and reporting as possible, and we extend and optimize, and basically using Copilot Studio and Azure AI Studio to provide high value, no human in the loop AI platform, AI pipelines. So if you really think about it, if you bought into the AI story and you believe AI can materially impact your organization's productivity and the quality of the work you produce, you have to think about Copilot and the Microsoft productivity stack as the AI gateway drug to the organization. By bringing in Copilot, making AI a very important part of your day-to-day work processes, you've dropped the barriers and increased the amount of creativity in the organization to extend AI rather, to other aspects of the business. And that's when we start using Copilot Studio and Azure AI Studio to help build your own Copilots. So get ready, build the right team to specific tactics, which is embrace rapid feedback. This is a very iterative process. Nobody gets it right the first time. We iterate. But identify the use cases that make the most sense. We can help you produce a 7-step adoption plan for Microsoft AI. We have an AI strategy for that. Basically, an AI readiness and preparation practice that we put together. We can help identify all of the things, your foundational tasks, and help you formulate your specific tactics. And we'll be there to train and guide you throughout the process. So that's it for this morning. Charles, you want to wrap her up?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for joining, sticking around a little bit late here. We're going to be sending off our free policy template, which includes, it's a synthesis of Microsoft's AI readiness and AI fairness practices and procedures template. Probably tomorrow you'll get that. And we're going to have an event probably in October 24th, which it'll be in person, which is going to be a deeper AI event. And we're planning to have a couple other webinars here in the future. So we would love everyone's feedback from this event. I'll send that feedback form that Chuck generated using Copilot out.
We created it. We might as well use it, right?
Yep.
So on my screen, I just shared Copilot. I'm sharing Microsoft Teams summarizing our entire session this morning. Going through the transcript, creating a pretty detailed summary of who said what and when. I couldn't demonstrate this until the end because, of course, we were using Teams to deliver the presentation. But as a bonus, We'll take this transcript and also include that along with our policy guide.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chuck, today. Appreciate the presentation. And have a great morning.
Did everybody stick to the end? Too much talking. Losing my voice at the end there.